Schweihofer,
Here.
Dan Turk, absent. Ed Neiman,
Here.
Ron Breyer,
Absent.
Deanna Moran here, Sharon Martin here, Lauren Martin here.
Could we have a motion to approve their absence? They're both sick.
I'll make the motion to
Excuse them?
Oh, second it.
excuse, yeah.
Okay, moved by Deanna to excuse both board members and supported by Lauren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any disapproving? None. Then that motion will carry. We're ready for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And again, I encourage everybody to speak up this evening.
Okay.
Will do. Okay, thank you, Ed, for getting us started. The approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to accept as presented?
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
I'd second that.
Okay, moved by Deanna, supported by Ed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There being none, that motion carries. Any comments from the public regarding any agenda item at this time? Okay, thank you. We just want to check. Approval of the minutes of the China Township Board meeting of January 21st, 2025.
Barring any corrections, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second that.
Okay, moved by Ed to accept and seconded by Lauren. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Then that motion will carry. Our consent agenda you have before you. Do you have any questions on any of that, or are we ready to approve?
I'll make the motion to accept the consent agenda.
Okay, and I would support that. Any questions on anything? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? There being none, that motion will carry. And then we are to our disbursements. Could I have a,
Yep, I'll make the motion to approve the disbursements. Payroll in the amount of $16,157.64. The tax fund in $2,015,883.18. And the general fund in $70,228.56.
I'll support that.
okay, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, then we have approved those. We will need also a motion on the unpaid bills.
I can also make that motion to pay the unpaid bills in the amount of $57,957.10.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Deanna to pay the unpaid bills, supported by Lauren. Any questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, we pay the bills. Thank you, everyone. Under new business, item A. This is simply to receive and file. It's a report from Eagle regarding the Range Road Ash landfill. I just wanted everyone to know that they do periodic inspections and we're good. So that's just for comment. Item B, request to rezone the Magretta parcel on King Road from light industrial to suburban residential. And to better explain that first parcel, it is the one that is over there by Crossroads Community Church, and it only makes sense to have it be compatible with the other surrounding areas. What we would do is, by board action, we would send it to Planning Commission, and then they would take it from there. Do I have a motion?
I'd make that motion.
Okay, do we have support?
I support.
Okay, moved by Ed, supported by Lauren. Questions? Yes.
Yeah, my question is, what if the church wanted to, say they wanted to expand and build a rec center for the neighbor children or what have you? They wouldn't be able to because it would be rezoned to residential, is that correct?
It would still be, that's what they're zoned now. It would be zoned,
Or a family, whatever, I'm sorry.
You can always seek a
You do it?
special
Land use.
purpose, and it's always an option. what you're doing is setting up standardized rules.
Okay, so,
Anything after that, you have to ask for permission.
but if we rezone it, it will just be for a house or
Well, anything, no,
residential?
it'll be whatever's allowed under that district.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're
You
more.
would wanna read exactly all of the listing in that district.
Okay, so planning will get that prepared for us.
Well, it's already there.
Oh,
The suburban residential allowed the church to be there, it allowed the Crossroad Community Church to be there, but there would be other, uses that would prevail. This
Okay.
just protects us so that we don't end up having something trying to come in there on industrial,
Okay.
and it protects the township and the people around. So that's what that's for.
all right.
On the reason, we're simply asking to send this to planning, so I think it's a simple motion. Do I have a motion?
We did.
It's
Oh,
already.
Ed and then Lauren, right?
Okay, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Then that will carry. Item C is to approve 3 appointments. We might just be able to do them in one motion.
Sure.
We needed a regular board member to replace Jerry Bowl, that's Kathy Pizzo. We need an alternate for the Board of Review, that's Libby Prill. And we needed a ZBA alternate, Kyle O'Connor. Do we have a motion?
I'd make that motion, to approve those appointees.
Okay, do I support?
I'll support.
Okay, moved by Ed, supported by Lauren, to go forward with those appointments. I thank all those people that were willing to come forward and help us. Good. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? Then that carries. Item D, approval to attend the MTA 2025 annual dinner, which is coming up Thursday, March 27th at 6 p.m. It's $40 a person, and the reservations do need to be in by the 14th. This is our whole county MTA, and you get a chance to network. It's really a good event. It's not just go to dinner. You really have a chance to talk to your commissioners. There are a lot of people there that you would have an opportunity to talk to while you're there. Do we have approval for that?
I would make the motion to approve any board member that wants to attend the 2025 annual dinner.
Okay, I'll support that. Any questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Well, do we need to roll call it because is it money or
Well,
not?
we don't have to do that, MTA. We're doing it a little bit differently now. They're just interested in seeing that it passes, the general public, that it passes, and if there is someone, an aye, then, or a nay, then they would see that.
Okay,
Okay?
alright.
Okay, so, it's been
Motion
moved,
carried.
yep, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? If not, then that motion will carry. We'll flip over to E. Approval for purchase of a sign for Recor Road bike path. It's actually our own property, is where someone's going in and just dumping stuff. We don't want that to start. I do have a picture, unfortunately, I was unable to get the cost. They will do it for us at the road commission, and it would be for a sign and a post. I don't think it would be very much, but I do not have a dollar figure this evening.
I did include just some examples.
I saw those.
So it doesn't seem that it would cost very much, from $8 perhaps up to maybe the highest one here is 15. So in that range, we could say up to a certain amount.
You could, I think if you're going to get it
What
from,
you printed here, though, is offline. This
Yeah.
is not from the county.
no,
No.
the one in front
I
of
don't-
Dealing
you.
with the county.
I don't know what the county will charge, but wouldn't you think it's similar?
I think it'll
may,
be
but
more. It might be a little
I would make
more.
a motion that we simply work with the county
Oh, okay.
and authorize the sign. They have a sign department, they make signs.
Okay,
It'll be
great.
consistent with,
Yep, it sounds good. Do I have support on that? Ed made the motion?
I'll support it.
Okay, moved by Ed, supported by Deanna, to pursue that sign through the county. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? There being none, that motion will carry. Next item, Clerks Association of the St. Clair County Quarterly Meeting and Luncheon. I see it's the 13th of the month of March. $30 plus mileage. In any of those, it would include the mileage. Do we have a motion for that?
I'd make a motion for the clerk to attend.
Okay, and I would second that. Are there any other questions about that? Looks pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? There being none, then that motion will carry. Next item. Approval, the Mortimer Water Line and Sewer Extension backup. This was something that Ron had been in my office. We spoke about it. What has happened in the past, and Ed, you can probably back me up on this, whenever the water line is to go, it's always to go out front by the road, and it goes to the end of the person's property, correct, or the business's property. That's my understanding. What's happened, I believe, is that Lumberjack may have preferred to just run it and hook up from somebody else instead of taking the long way home, which would be out by the road and out front of Lumberjack on Fredmore Highway. We just want to make sure that we're all on the same page about that, so that, because it may happen fairly soon. They may be going to planning or coming in here to want to pursue that. So,
It's a pre-existing operation. Obviously, it would be a lot more expensive, and if extending the line across of them would allow for future development, that would be a good thing. But Lumberjack is kind of at the end of the line, so them coming in this alternate method is not the end-all issue that they're talking about. The line, because they have frontage on Fred Moore, that's the perceived route.
right.
Okay, anything different, they would prefer to pull it in off of King Road.
Okay, but here's the other, and this is why we're seeing Mortimer also, because there has been talk before me of expansion on Fredmore Highway, because they do have some property and they might even be purchasing another piece there if they haven't already. And we want them to realize, that we would be consistent, I guess is my understanding, that Mortimer would have to do the same thing. Come to the corner of Fredmore and then run it down Fredmore.
Okay.
So I think that's why, truthfully, it's on, listing it as Mortimer Water Line and Sewer Extension.
Yeah. All I have in my packet is just the line item.
Right, that's all we have.
Right.
He was going to try to get something to Sharon. I don't know if it's because he was sick and he didn't. I tried reaching out to him a couple of times. I think the reason that it was on the agenda for tonight, I don't know how soon this is gonna happen. If you think that it can wait until March, we can entertain a further discussion at the next meeting.
What are you asking us to approve or agree to?
I believe it's to have it in the minutes that we would follow our existing rules, that we keep it out in front and follow the road.
Right. Because those are our rules, I don't know that we need to restate that unless we are going to say we're gonna make an exception.
Yeah, we're not making.
Because we don't wanna start listing all the things that we already have
Okay,
listed.
right.
So
If you want it to just be,
we're
It's
gonna,
What, if they were to come to us and want to pull the water line in a different direction than Fredmore Highway, how would they come to it? Like, would that be a planning commission, would that be a special land use, like, how would
Would
they?
it- number one, I don't believe, maybe they don't come, maybe they just try to do it.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
okay.
so, but would it not be coming?
everything has to be permitted. For it to be permitted, it has to go, commercially certainly, has to go to the planning commission. Planning commission is gonna have an engineer and planner review it, and they're gonna say, we have rules. The rule is you've gotta extend it to your property and along your property before you can connect. Anything short of that is an exception. They would ask it, and the planning commission, would normally just say no, unless somebody else is overriding it. We could override the planning commission.
Correct.
We're not asking to do that.
No,
Right.
we're just sort of stating it up here at the board table, that it will be in our minutes, that we follow
No exception.
no exceptions. Do we need to have, we don't need a motion, do
I
we?
don't think so. Information, I don't see any reason to.
Okay, if it's not good enough, we'll hear about it at the March meeting, okay? Okay, sounds good, then we'll move on. H, approval of having an on-call employee, deputy treasurer, or a deputy clerk to fill in when necessary at the deputy wage. And there's also, the new sick leave in effect 2/21, as long as that still sticks,
Yeah,
right?
we're
I know
not
the
sure.
governor is starting to monkey around, so we're not sure.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about this.
Okay.
We had an employee off for 2 weeks and then a sick employee for 1 week, so we were struggling with, some people have to leave at a certain time, come in at a certain time, so it was basically us three here to make sure the building stayed open and closed, and we have 2 deputies, I do and Deanna, that are capable of doing the window, answering the phone, so we're not all, oh my gosh, who's gonna open, who's gonna close? It was just really rough, and then this would also help with the new law coming into effect on Friday perhaps, we're not sure yet, will allow employees not that our employees will take advantage of this, I'm not implying that, but they can just call in and say, I'm not coming in, and then again, we're struggling, well, I had a doctor appointment, or I have my daughter's soccer game, I can't. This way, if we have 2 deputies that are bonded, good people, to say, hey, can you come in, we got a sick person, and, out of 1 or 2 of them, perhaps they could cover for a few hours or whatnot. That's all I'm asking is permission for that.
And I truly believe, nobody abuses it, but sometimes you're struggling because you just can't physically be here.
Yeah, and currently, the deputies are used for us, like, I'll be out tomorrow, I'm gonna call my deputy in to cover for me. That's what they're used for. We're asking that they can be used to run windows and stuff when we have both of our regular people out, that's what we're.
Yeah, like Brandy was out the entire week.
Right.
She couldn't help it, she was sick. We just were all scrambling, we stayed and did, and we all helped out.
Right,
But then, there was a scheduled 2-week vacation, Mary Ann wasn't here.
right.
So we were really struggling,
Yeah.
not that it would happen often, but
But just in case, it would relieve us from juggling our own personal life of doctor's appointment and whatnot, if we had the capability of calling a couple. Good.
well, just to keep the office open
Yeah,
and keep things
keep
running.
the door open.
We don't wanna lock the door unless,
Necessary.
yeah, unless
And plus it
necessary.
was tax time, so we were extremely busy getting the door, the window, and then I'm not saying we can't do our job, but it did take from our own duties.
It just was
It
really,
was crazy.
It
It
was
wasn't
hectic.
good timing.
it was hectic, I don't know.
But, 2 of our board members are sick, so something's going around. It's just to cover keeping the building open.
Any input, any thoughts down there, Ed?
I would simply say in the past, we haven't always had deputies. We have not always had deputies. What is necessitating deputies is to assist when it's possible, when it's needed. What's being asked, I think, is for the deputies to perform temporary services when the other office staff are not in. And that's not how it sounded to me. So I don't know if that's the best method.
Oh,
You're saying that we should pay the deputy.
Well, they have to be paid hourly.
I understand,
right?
but they're paid, I'm assuming you're talking about a wage higher than the staff
No,
earns now.
less,
Less,
much less,
okay.
yeah. I could say what they paid $15 an hour. So Mary Ann's higher and so's Brandy.
I think in that week, if we needed somebody for 3 or 4 hours tops, that was really it, but it just happened that we couldn't cover it, and we're not gonna lock the door.
Are you saying that it's only gonna be, you're anticipating only being 3 or 4 hours a week?
Well, Brandy missed a whole week, and Mary Ann wasn't here, so we had no office people.
What Lauren asked her about.
That's unusual.
What Lauren asked a couple weeks ago, in an email was to just
Right.
understand what people and when people were here in the office,
Right.
what is the current organizational time frame for the doors open. I think it would help to have that to make
Right.
this decision.
They're, researching it
We actually,
in-house.
no, we actually have it, except Brandy was out, she was gonna make me a copy, and she did not, and I could not find it in there. So, we know that it's been spelled out, and it would not be on a weekly basis, it would just be if we ran into an emergency. But if you prefer,
I'd be willing to make a motion that we employ the deputy clerk on an as-needed basis, on a trial basis for the next 2 months and see how this works.
Well,
That
We're
would
not
be.
gonna need them.
We
we
probably
might
won't
even
need
need
them, Ed.
Oh, all right.
It's on vacation, you know, with Marianne gone for 2 weeks, we were covered.
Part of it's not understanding
Oh.
the scope of what you're asking for.
Okay, Marianne works, like 10 to 3, okay? And Brandy was to cover her vacation, so Brandy was gonna work 8 to 3 every day. But Brandy was sick, so we had no one.
That's fine,
It's very rare.
all right.
and we as officers, we have our hours, and we're here
Yeah, we
too.
covered as
But
well.
we did the best, but I mean, it was even over and beyond that, so.
Well, with the understanding that the three of you are gonna work at getting some document created, so that it's just helpful for everyone.
Yeah,
in
you'll
terms-
have that next
And the
month.
public as well. I will revise my motion to say, okay, I make a motion to approve the temporary use of the deputies in the event that we need some assistance in staffing
In an emergency,
in an
yeah,
emergency.
okay.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, so it's been moved by Ed and then supported by Lauren. And any other discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? None. Okay, then that motion will carry. And we thank you for that. It would not be something that would be happening on a regular basis. We just know we have something there in place. The next item is approval to raise intern pay and election worker pay to at least the minimum wage per Michigan law. It increases every year. You wanna speak on that too, don't you?
Oh, sure.
Okay,
Okay, so the state of Michigan approved minimum wage to eventually hit $15, that's not even on here, in 2029. So right now I'm paying our election workers $12. Yes, there's no election this year, but next year there is. So instead of coming to the board every year and asking for our minimum wage to go up, I would like this just approved to follow Michigan's law for minimum wage for the election workers, and sometimes we have a summer intern come in, and currently they're at $12. Well, if we raise it to the minimum wage of $12.48, we're in with the law. That's all I'm asking.
Just, you want it just to equal,
Well, I would like them to get more, but, I don't know.
it sounds.
A lot of election workers are making way more than our township, but we brought this, when I started this role, we agreed on $12. So that's what they're at, and that's under minimum wage if there was election this year. So I'm just trying to at least boost them up to minimum wage. Every year they would at least get this. I mean, if we said, well, St. Clair,
Aren't we paying minimum wage now?
$12,
Right.
but now it's going up to
Right,
$12.48.
right. Let's just say, I make a motion that we continue to pay
Okay.
the established minimum wage rates.
Okay.
Okay, I would support that. Is there any other discussion? Does everybody understand it? Are we good? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? There being none, then that will take effect, motion carries. The next item, the Park and Rec approval of $500 to spend on the Easter party, the date to be determined. I have no backup for this either, but they did meet, and that is,
Well, I'm on Parks and Rec.
okay,
We met in January and we talked about the Easter party coming up. It's going to be in April. They're not sure on the date. And then we had to cancel February's because Brandy was sick and I can't run it. I'm just a representative, so they decided the committee to cancel it. So they did request me to bring this to the board every year they get 500 to buy the Easter eggs and candy and whatnot. They haven't decided yet, we're gonna meet again in beginning of March, just to get that together to see what we have left over, and 500 should cover it.
Yeah, and sometimes there's even money left over, but that is a typical request. Do we have a motion?
Motion to
I'll
$500.
Okay, motion,
For the Easter.
motion by Ed, to allow that $500 for the Easter party, supported by Deanna. Any other questions on that? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? There being none, that motion carries. Okay, permanent easement for sanitary sewer. Mr. Abbott and the Telto agreement with the property owner on King Road, SAD. All of this happened when I was not here. I asked Brandy what happened with Mr. Abbott's bill. And she said she talked to Mr. Abbott, and he said that he called the township, talked to John, that would be John Golan, the prior supervisor, and he said he would handle it. He was never told he would be charged. Anything that happens in the SAD by way of maintenance and operation is to be paid by the homeowner. Where we got into a carfuncle here is, I believe, we didn't follow a proper procedure. Mr. Abbott, if he was having a problem, couldn't flush his toilet or whatever, he should have been the one to make the contact, not us getting involved and then, you know, John calling and setting it up. That's where I believe we got into a problem, and now we have a bill for $615, and Mr. Abbott is not paying Mr. Telto. I received a phone call from Bernie, and, you know, and you're aware of this, I mean, Telto did the system, they know the system. When there's a problem, you know, they can call them if they choose to, or they could call whomever to come in and try to correct the problem. We need a procedure to be followed. You won't find me calling for somebody. I mean, they would be told, you need to contact someone to take care of this. And then our township wouldn't be the monkey in the middle, which we are right now. I would not be opposed for the township to pay the bill, and then we could, you know, then that way Mr. Telto would be covered. I don't think we want to lose our contractor over this. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think, you know, that's my opinion, and we could do it. I put that out there. You can look at this.
I'd make a motion with two items. One, that we pay this small amount and close this issue on the presumption that there's been misunderstanding by the homeowner as well as here at the township. However, secondly, that we would send out a letter to every resident restating that it is their responsibility to make the call for any service, and henceforth, you know, the township is not responsible for those bills, regrettably, but it's not. That's how that district was set up.
Okay, I would support that, and I would make sure that the people along that line received a letter. I'm not saying that they never were informed at some point in time, but they need to hear it again.
It may have to be something that's sent out periodically, just to remind them.
Okay, it's been moved by Ed with those two caveats. I have supported it. Are there any other questions here at the board table regarding that? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? There being none, that motion will carry, and I'll see to it that the letter goes out. Thank you. The next item, we have unfinished business. Item 1 is the 123 Net Metro Act permit request, approval with conditions. We did receive, you know, the board wanted our attorney to review it, which she did. You see her letter of response, and she's recommending that we go ahead and that we can, it is our recommendation that the request for a Metro Act permit be approved, but with the following conditions. And I will make sure that 123 Net sees this. if they approve it and are willing to meet these requirements, do we wanna make that, motion with that stipulation in there? I can tell you, as far as the mapping, I talked to the gal, and they wanna run the trunk down King, and they'll go some partially down Meisner Road. They basically are a company that does, provide for business, going down King. Perhaps they think in the future there will be more business along through there, but they also will provide for residents as well. Not only with grants from B, but with their own money. So that's everything I know.
The request by 123 Metro is simply asking to be able to work within that right of way. The attorney has made recommendations. I'd make a motion that we follow the attorney's recommendations and proceed with allowing that to take place.
Okay, do we have support for that?
I'll support that.
Okay, moved by Ed, supported by Lauren, to proceed if those stipulations are met. All those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? None? Then that will carry, and I will, make sure that gets taken care of, and I'll report. Item B, St. Procopius Monastery. I talked to Bill, and he did perform that final inspection on the sanctuary area, and it passed. That much I can account for. What goes on from this point, I don't know. Does the board want me to continue keeping St. Procopius Monastery on the agenda? Okay,
I don't.
okay. Any other?
I just have a question, what was the inspection exactly for?
The sanctuary part, the front part where they actually have service.
Oh, okay.
And it apparently had not been finalized, and the attorney said that needs to be done, and
So that
it's
was
finished.
approved?
Yeah.
So anything else he attempts to do will
Have to be,
permit and all that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Will have to be watched, or, you know, Bill will have to make sure that we're not issuing something that we're not supposed to be, so.
Okay.
Okay, item C, building inspector's contract, it's back here, for the board. Everybody received all of the credentials that they requested of Nick Doherty. I believe everybody saw that, and that was furnished to them. What is the board's pleasure?
I can tell you that, yes, I received that, but I also have spoken to a couple people in the community, others of interest in the position, so.
In our community?
Yes.
Then, go ahead, what you're
I
recommending.
I would simply put a hold on this and ask that we re-solicit and request for the next 30 days, interested parties to come forward.
With their credentials,
Yep.
with their proper credentials.
Yep.
Can that be posted on our
I
website
would
if
say
it's
post it
local?
on the website, you know,
Any verbiage on that? I'm sorry, Lauren. Like, can I get some recommended,
well, we're looking for a
Building
building
inspector,
inspector, whatever we
they have to have
utilize
license and whatnot, right?
and meet the current licensing requirements,
Maybe Brandy could help me out with that a little bit?
certainly.
Okay, go ahead,
Because
Lauren.
this was started in part because I think Mr. Turk and Mr. Meyer had conversations and pursuant to our current building inspector, and in transition to go forward in the future, you know, it was being looked at alternatives.
That,
And so with that in mind, they're not here to even offer opinion. So I think getting more interested parties before us and covering our options is what we ought to do.
can I ask, the last time we had a discussion about this, somebody, I don't remember who, was supposed to be having a conversation with Bill, did that ever happen?
It did happen, it did
How-
happen.
okay.
And it didn't happen just with myself, it actually happened with both trustees, Dan and Ron.
Okay,
And we were going, you know, we asked Bill, Bill said, well, you know, he would be willing to work with someone. I think, you know, he was still concerned about, you know, what really, you know, why would we be looking elsewhere? And I said, you know, the board as a whole was looking to move on and to, you know, to
Well,
get.
I think in some of over the years, some of the duties being requested in terms of additional zoning inspection, some of the things that Bill
used to do.
He was reluctant to wanna do that,
Right.
and so we just need to,
Right,
explore options.
Right,
Right.
because we have, our planner that's doing the reviews, now, so she's taken some of that away from Bill to make sure
I just,
nothing gets missed.
just wanna
okay?
make sure that Bill's not gonna just say, well, I'm out of here
No,
before we have,
no, he said,
Found
I think
somebody,
he, and he actually is on an at-will basis anyway, but he's not going anywhere,
Okay.
and we're working, and I'm working with him, and, it seems to be going okay for right now, so will you be able to do that, Sharon, and get it on the web?
Yeah, I'll have to get a good word,
Good wording.
Wording.
Okay.
I'll have Brandy help me, I can even look at Bill's, contract.
Okay, okay, so we have a motion by Ed, did we get support, I didn't hear that? To
I'll
bid it out,
support it.
okay, okay.
I don't know if I did, but I will.
Okay, supported by Lauren to have the clerk put out, the bid again, and we'll put it on our China Township website. All those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? There being none, then that carries. Item D, it's only on here, playground mulch, because we're not yet to it. And the reason that we were dealing with Caleb, even though there was a motion, which I wasn't aware of, but I found it, September 2nd of 2024 was to table it and open for bids and put it out on Mitten. I am clueless about that. It was supported by Bayer, and I asked, did that ever happen? And to my knowledge, it never happened. And the reason Caleb was involved, he said, it's very hard to find it, and the reason is that it can have no metal in it. So no steel belted radial tires can be used for this type of mulch for the playground equipment to make it safe. If we were to do, it's so bad. I mean, a lot of people would say, well, why don't you just put the wood back in again? You're not really supposed to use that, and if we did it, it'd probably never need to be done again, but it is expensive. So, we know we're getting some, well, we did get the check, didn't you say the $20,000 came from our recreation millage money? I just wanted to report why it still is on here. We haven't really pursued it, so if I ever get to the point where
You recall what that price was?
it was,
38,000.
it was a
$38,000.
to do it all. But I said to Caleb, that is a lot of money. Could we not do it in phases? We
Right.
could.
We're looking at a time where we've over-safetied so many things. And I'm not saying that this isn't the ideal solution, but it's expensive, and I think we're in a time where we're evaluating what is appropriate and what is more than necessary. Do people have rubberized play spaces at their homes? I don't.
Are we not can we not use wood chips?
We could use mulch, I don't think there's anything.
All the schools are still using mulch,
Are they?
because I'm a sub teacher, so I'm out there kicking it back in where it belongs,
There may be something out there that says we're not supposed to.
I would make a motion that we remove it from the unfinished business, barring somebody at the table who wants to bring it back.
Okay, that's your motion. Okay, do we have support?
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved by Ed and supported by Deanna that we just remove this item for now, right from the agenda. Sounds like a plan. Okay, next item, landfill. See the letter from Eagle. I think you've all probably had an opportunity to read it. Dan has been working on this. I asked him if he wanted it as informational or if he would prefer that we put it on the agenda. He said, put it on the agenda. I spoke with, what's her name here? I can't think of it. Emily Ebaugh. I spoke with her today and asked, this is good news, and I'm glad Dan did follow up on it because the landfill in China Township is owned by the city of Marine City. They have done nothing. Now they're gonna do something because they've got the powers that be are after them. And they have agreed they are going to do some remediation. They are meeting this coming Friday. So even though Dan's not here, I could report on that. So it's just to let the public also know that Marine City is going to, they're the liable party and they will be the ones taking care of it. And how they're going to do it will be determined between them and Eagle. So this is good news. along with the fly ash report, so,
So can that be deleted then now?
yeah, we'll be done
Or
with, well,
should we leave it?
Remove it.
we
Should
can,
we remove it?
I don't see any reason.
not on, yeah, I think it's done, I don't, you know, Dan.
We'll bring it back as new information if, you know, if something comes up.
Okay, the next item, item,
Do I need a motion to who said to remove it?
Ed.
Ed?
Ed's making a motion,
I guess.
I can support it.
I'm just trying to get rid of some of our unfinished stuff.
yeah,
It's done.
okay.
Bring it forward again and solve it.
Okay, moved by Ed to delete it, Deanna supports it, it's coming on, all those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Any opposed? There being none, it's coming off, okay. Next one, the Lindsay Road update, again, it's the middle of winter, and we are going to move forward. I now have the 4 property owners, and I have been tasked with contacting those property owners to get permission, that, whomever we get, I guess it's our engineer, I will speak with them, and they'll take some grades. And when they're ready to do that, I'll go ahead and talk to the property owners, get their permission, and then when we get done with that, that's coming off too.
Right.
I mean, because we, pretty much that's what we're gonna do,
The engineer's going to,
shoot some grades,
shoot some grades?
that's what they call it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's for the benefit of Mr. Marshall, because he is willing to do something, but he does not want to just go on, you know, even right there on his property and open up a small swale. We thought maybe it would be okay, but, you know, he says, well, what if I get it too deep and I cause a problem to the neighbor to the west? What if I do it too shallow and it doesn't work? So the board did vote and agreed to have those grades shot, so I'm just letting you know what, you know, I know to this point. If you want that off, you know, I mean, I know that's what we're going to do.
I don't see any reason to keep it there. When we have new action to bring forward, we'll bring it forward.
Okay, same thing,
Same thing.
removing it, Ed's removing it,
Yeah.
okay, motion by Ed,
Yep.
supported by Deanna. Any questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion will carry, we're taking that one
And
off.
unless you have some new information, I'd go ahead and say that on the Belfour Cemetery ordinance.
It's in process, I
Yeah,
know that
right,
much,
so-
are you
so-
good, Sharon?
Well, that is, no, yeah, that's the ordinance, I haven't heard yet what, it's in process.
Right.
Okay,
Should
if
we
you're,
take it off?
yeah, if you're
I
just,
just don't wanna forget, I know Ron's
Well, you
on
won't
top of
forget.
it.
You're
Well,
working on it.
Ron's getting me some information to progress with it.
okay, I knew you had that sheet telling you what you'd had.
Right, but he's been sick, I haven't heard anything, I gave him the right number.
Yeah, and
That was
no,
it.
the 171 number
Right.
is the one that I
And that's
passed
the
on.
last thing I know, so it's up to you if you wanna take it off. It's still not an ordinance yet,
Right.
okay?
Again, you know, a mini history of that was we felt compelled to want to write an ordinance for the cemetery, which hadn't had an ordinance on it for 100 years. I was part of a subcommittee that put together trying to make some simple rules. They've become a little larger and more involved than attorneys and planners, and I
Yeah.
think we've got it. It's going through its approval process. I think we're done with it. Let it complete its approval process, and
Okay,
there
Alright.
it is.
we'll just remove that one as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. H, I thought we'd have a packed house here tonight. Data center and battery operation. This was sent over, our ordinance as it stood. Not for data centers, because we didn't have an ordinance for data centers, but Karen, our planner, was tasked to go ahead and do a review. Everybody received this in their packet. It's pretty comprehensive. She did do some research and check other communities. She looked at ours, and I did highlight the one part back here, just so that we could talk about it. Maybe it was on the other one. She said that she believed that data centers can reasonably meet these criteria that she talked about. However, considering the township's pastoral character, expressed environmental concerns, and the health and safety of the community, it may be prudent for the township to adopt specific use standards. And by that we mean, we know that there are because data centers aren't listed anywhere, that they would automatically fall in that one category. However, we wanna be more specific, we wanna look at everything, because there are concerns out there. So not only would they be willing, even though they're allowed in A1 and A2, that we could, or I1 and I2, but that she would be, they would be favorable to be looking at it being in the I2.
Right.
And, you know, the heavier industrial area. And so now that we have this, the next thing, I guess we would pass it on to planning.
Well, I would make a motion, again, I would agree, she did a nice job of simplifying the issues. She said we could tweak a few things, with her request to sharpen specific, special use standards for this. My motion is to have her proceed on that task.
To prepare the ordinance to,
That would include those special use requirements. Additionally, such as, you know, the placing it only within the I2 district, not the I1, and other stated recommendations that she had alluded to that might sharpen the, not prohibit, but to sharpen, you know, some of the setbacks and some of the elements that are currently of concern.
okay. So we would task Karen to proceed with an ordinance that would have it in the I2.
Yep.
And that it would also sharpen,
Some of
the,
Strengthen.
strengthen, some of the other requirements.
Yep. And pretty much similar to what she was implying.
Yeah, because we talked about berming, we talked about the height of the berms, we talked about putting trees on the
And
berms.
spoke of the actual setback amount.
The setback could be more than what, you know, or that it would be
Right,
appropriate.
She correctly stated we have a moratorium, which means we have a time to take some time and look at what should be in this.
Mhm.
To show that with, exactly that's what we are doing. We are, you know, fine tuning, you know, for everybody in the community, and fine tuning for the,
To protect ourselves, and it was, everything that was done here at the table was to protect our community. That 6 months didn't hurt us one iota in a moratorium, nobody's suing us, and it gave us time, and we have one of our planners sitting out here, so, our planning commission members, so, he's hearing it as well. So I will get a hold of Karen, we'll get onward, and then, so she'll talk about it then, herself at planning, the next meeting, I'm sure.
So we
When
need
would
to-
be, I have a question,
Yes.
when would be the time for either us or the community or whoever, when and where to express things that we may want to see in this ordinance, you know, I
well,
mean,
I would caution that, because you're gonna have a community filled with ideas. We wanna leave this a little bit more to the professionals, so that, you know, I don't wanna suggest who else would follow that kind of thinking, but, we wanna have a defendable position.
right,
We want to, you know, in some cases, we might wanna prohibit it. Other cases, we don't wanna go on record as saying we never, ever want it, because, that's very tough to defend in our,
Right.
you know, very,
Because
litigious society that we are in.
Because our I2 is the Detroit Edison property.
right.
And, I mean, if they really wanted something like this in there, you know, they would
Right.
pretty much, they would be able to do some of these things. I think that the worst scenarios are your environmental things.
Right.
We're also fighting the scenario where the state, having the greater power, is telling us what can be done and not done, and we're trying to make it at least appropriate for our community. At the same time, it might be not the least path of resistance for a
Well, I don't
developer to go
think that-
someplace else.
I don't think that applies to data centers and possibly not storage, battery storage either, I think that's just solar and wind that they,
Well,
maybe not though, maybe
yeah,
I'm
Well-
I would encourage that, you know, our Karen's gonna give us some recommendations on some of these other uses as well.
Okay.
So we have a motion to proceed with Karen and.
Do we-
I wrote most of it
Oh,
down.
yeah, good.
Okay.
I was
But we
long-winded, I
needed
apologize.
support.
Did you, yes, okay, but we do need support. I would support that. Any other
Thanks.
questions? And I heard what you were saying too, Lauren, we wanna make sure, but I do believe she knows how important this is, and we've tasked her,
Right.
to really do that, so, all those in favor?
Right.
Aye. Are there any opposed? There being none, that will get going. Okay, we'll do that. Water and sewer, we don't have Ron here tonight, but, on the agenda, you see the amounts. $97,070.54 in the water fund, which has always been the smaller fund. Sewer fund, $389,474.81. And without Ron here, we really don't have a report this evening for, the water and sewer. So, we'll move into announcements. Our next China Township Board meeting will be held Monday, March 17th. We'll be back to Mondays again at 7 p.m. The snowman contest is running through April 1st. We will have the door prizes again. And now we have lots of snow, but I don't know how packy it is yet.
But
don't-
I did see some
Couple.
cute pictures.
Yeah, there's been a couple of
Yeah,
submissions
they were
already.
really cute. I'm trying to get my daughter to build one.
Yeah, and then,
And your kid.
At our March meeting, we will have Mr. Whitman, Phil Whitman from DTE. He will be here to make the presentations to those from the Light Up Our Township. And they wanted to throw in a fourth place, so we actually only had 4 people that applied this year, so everybody's gonna get something.
Everybody's a winner.
Yeah, no winner.
Everybody's a winner.
There you go.
And one other thing that I don't have here, and it's just a reminder again, I know the road commission puts it out in the newspaper every year about this time, early enough. Kind of telling people, when you're pushing snow out of your driveway, don't be pushing it out onto the road, and do not be pushing it off into the ditch either, because that causes great problems, and when it starts to thaw and then it's freezing, it can really plug up those culverts, and then we'll really have a mess. It'll look like Lake Michigan. So everybody, remember that. They're hearing it at our meeting. Hopefully they will hear this loud and clear. It's just a reminder. So I believe those were the announcements. And I think I've covered just about everything under supervisor, so I don't even need to keep going on here. How about the treasurer?
All right, so taxes were due February 14th, I hope most everybody paid. We're still accepting tax payments until February 28th. I just have a 1% late fee on your winter taxes. We will be open the last day of February, that Friday, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to collect any more taxes before they are sent to the county as delinquent, so we'll be open that day. Also, we just had a couple CDRs renewed, so one from North Star at 3.95% for 18 months. That one's about $165,000, and a Flagstar CD, we also renewed, that one's at 4.25%, and that's about $119,000, so that's what's been going on in my office.
Oh, that's a pretty decent rate considering,
Considering, yeah.
I've seen a lot lower ones, so
Yeah.
that's good, you're taking good care of our money. Clerk, Sharon, what do you have?
Well, I had the audit from the state of Michigan for precinct 2. I had, my deputy here, my new deputy, and Terry Lynn, my election manager, to help, but we ended up not really doing so much. He had brought 2 people from the state of Michigan to count the ballots, make sure they equaled the tabulator, everything was fine. My paperwork, it was more of a procedure audit. They made sure everybody was written down that was a write-in, matched the poll book. So it was interesting. I've never experienced it. Actually, none of us did. Even the county election woman never saw an audit. It was till 12:30 from 9 a.m. and it went well.
Good.
And that's probably
And then the next thing coming up will be, our regular audit, and I know.
Oh, yes,
yeah,
that's in April, our audit, Deanna and I will be busy,
And
and Linda too.
Yeah, yeah,
Pulling files and whatnot,
yeah,
it's always a good time.
and they're a good company to work with, they
Sure.
come in, and then we will be having board of review coming up in March too, and that's, the ability for people to come in, not to complain about their taxes, but to complain about their assessment. So, you know, that's a taxpayer's right to come in and if they have questions. It's always a good time to come in and review your card as well. And, you know, they have ample time here, so if there's anyone out in the township that has concerns or questions, those dates.
Yeah, we have
are posted.
flyers here, if, anybody listening would like to come pick one up.
Okay, very good. Trustees, Lauren?
I don't have anything.
What
I'm good.
about you, Ed?
Oh, just a couple quick things. Hey, yesterday was President's Day.
Yay!
Yay! We've had a lot of good presidents. The last time my presidency attempted to work at our budgets and cut back was Clinton Gore. You know, they made some progressive steps. Right now, some things are happening. It's going to be tough. It may not achieve as much as everyone would like, but it's important that we get to the future. It was Abraham Lincoln who said the most reliable way to predict the future is to create it. So on that note, here's to Abe.
There you go, very good. Okay, well, we are done with our public meeting of conducting our business, but we certainly are open to any public comment on anything if you so choose, and we'd ask you to come to the podium.
I just have a question,
What?
not really a comment.
Oh,
This board of review meeting that you said, anybody, any taxpayer can come to these.
exactly. But if anyone does have anything they'd like to say, come to the podium and speak good and loud, only because we want to make sure it carries.
So I can hear myself.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Mike Grover, Trip Road. You know, it's interesting you brought up Lincoln. Every president since Lincoln that has tried to change the system back to the American system of economics has been assassinated.
Oh.
Lincoln, McKinley, Kennedy.
We have to pray for our president.
We have to pray for our president, for sure. Anyway, I'm Mike Grover, I'm the Weeda County Director for St. Clair County. And on the 27th, which is next Thursday, we have Dr. Remington Nevin speaking to us. If you haven't heard Dr. Nevin speak, you know, he talks about the electric, the batteries, the data centers, and he is came up with all the health issues that come along with these things. I don't know, he sent me something that he wanted me to say.
When's
What's
the
this
meeting?
title, Mike?
Next Thursday,
What time?
7 p.m. and it's at Grace Bible Church in St. Clair, 1600 Vine Street. I have flyers that are being redone. I'll drop a few off here. But his main comments are going to be about the intermittent and unreliable energy generation as a public health problem. And he's able to prove that, especially with solar and the batteries, wind, that it's above the threshold for decibels that they allow. And his research is pretty good. He's an excellent speaker.
What's this title, Mike? Remember?
I don't want to missay his title. He works for the St. Clair County
I
Health
think he's the
Department.
health director.
He's director.
Yeah,
I think he's the director.
yeah,
Department of Health.
yeah, he's a good one. If you haven't heard him speak or read his report, he goes on about Public Act 233 and how they, lucky for him, left out the medical director's role in challenging Public Act 233. So, I don't know if anything's gonna come of that. I think with our new president, a lot of our concerns about electric and batteries and all this stuff are gonna go away. But he is a big advocate of these data centers, and AI, so, you know. I mean, I heard Ron say if they meet the zoning requirements, we can't really stop them, so hopefully, this lady that you're talking about can do something to change it up.
The lady that you're talking about, Karen, our planner, she was sent the letter, the report that Dr. Nevin did, so that she'd also have that to work from.
Yeah, you know, some of our speakers come from all the way on the other side of the state. Like last month, because of the weather, we had to cancel. We had the Coalition for Due Process come speak. We had to cancel. They rescheduled. Last Thursday on the 13th, they came. One professor came from Jackson. The other one came from the other side of Lansing. And what did we have? 12 people.
12 or 15, probably been.
I mean, the speaker, William Wagner, he's a professor. He was a federal prosecutor. He was a federal judge. He spoke in front of. He's been an expert witness in the Swedish Supreme Court. He's worked in Africa. He's been in front of the U.S. Supreme Court like 20 times, and we only got 12 people there. I mean, it really, I don't know what to do to get more. The guy was, I could have listened to him for 10 hours straight with the things that he told us. And, I don't know. I put it on Facebook. If you guys see it, please share it and send it to your family and friends. It's good stuff.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Gary, come on up.
How are you doing? I'm Gary Len, live on St. Clair Highway. The first thing I noticed, and regretfully, I think the way the weather's going, you might want to do the snowman contest until May 1st instead of April 1st, unfortunately. The other thing is there was a question about battery storage and where that fit into the wind and solar ordinance. And as an FYI, the Planning Commission, the ordinance or the template that we're working on does actually have 3 sections, solar, wind, and battery. So that would be included at least within the context of renewable energy. Now, whether or not it needs a separate section above and beyond that, I don't know, but at least it's going to be in there. But with that, I did have a couple of questions. One was the data center and the battery operation, and it sounded like you folks are going to be kind of engaged with Karen, which I think is good. I think she's real smart, so hopefully, you know, you get some good stuff from her. But it sounded like you guys had a process that was potentially going to lead you to an ordinance, and one of the things, just again, personal interest, but is this something where you see the Planning Commission getting involved at some point in time or at some level, or is this something that you guys will kind of handle more at the township level? Just to kind of set expectations. I don't have a problem one way or the other personally.
Generally, we don't get into a conversation, but I would simply make a single statement that we're gonna look to Karen as a professional to bring some thought to this, and we'll hear what she has to say.
Okay.
She could draft something,
Right.
and then, you know, we all have an opportunity to
Right.
review it, but it's coming to you folks.
Okay, so it's probably a ways down the road, but there would be that expectation. I guess the other question is, going back to new business, and again, we can take this off record, because I appreciate your point that normally Q&A is not the normal format. But I was kind of curious about the request. Was that something that was coming from the board, or is that something where, you know, a private party was requesting the rezoning? I'm going back to new business number B, or letter B, request to rezone the Margretta parcel, whether or not, you know, where that originated from. But if you want to take that offline, that's fine.
Yeah, it originated with myself,
Okay,
but in conversation, but it made sense to me
mm-hmm,
to protect our township so that we wouldn't get another Bitcoin mining group coming in that area,
mm-hmm.
because it's so near, you know, to the church and to the school.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's a for sale sign that's right next to the church, isn't it, on King Road, just kind of, what would be south of the church? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that
Okay, all right,
area.
so that's good. All right, well, thank you, that's what I had, thank you, appreciate it.
Okay. Anybody else? If not, we're ready for a motion to adjourn, Ed.
seem to be making more than motions this evening. Good night all. Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Okay, and supported by Lauren. All those in favor? Aye. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming out in this cold.
We have a Facebook page called Eda County of St. Clair.